Now, if Rick Ross could bless Meech more so than 50, because they wasn't really making no money off that show.
I can't believe a stand-up dude doing his time would suddenly say, I don't want to be here no more. I'm gonna become a rat bastard.
This mess with Lil Meech, 50 Cent, and Big Meech is getting real crazy, y'all. If you haven't heard, there's been some serious tension building between them, and 50 Cent ain't holding back. Recently, 50 has been out here exposing all the snitching that Big Meech has been doing, and that sent Lil Meech into overdrive. Also, the fact that Big Meech's Welcome Back Legacy concert got canceled too. Things are really heating up, and of course, Lil Meech wasn't about to let his dad's name get dragged through the mud, so he confronted 50. If you don't know who Big Meech is, let me put you on. Big Meech, or Demetrius Flannery, is the founder of the Black Mafia family, BMF, one of the most notorious and successful substance, moving, and money laundering organizations in American history. BMF was making bank in the 90s and early 2000s, and they had ties with hip-hop, using their label to clean up the substance money from the streets. Meech's name carried weight in the streets and in the rap game.
2006, the brothers were indicted in a federal RICO case originating out of Georgia.
BMF was the first group that was accused of being both a criminal organization and
have somebody that's been shot and has been the victim of aggravated assault. I mean, he received a serious gunshot wound. That really appears to be.
Back in 2008, Big Meech was sentenced to 30 years in prison for his part in running BMF. Despite his sentence, Meech's influence never faded, and with the rise of the TV show BMF, produced by none other than 50 Cent, the story of his life became a cultural phenomenon. His son, Lil Meech, was cast to play the role of his father. Fast forward to now, Big Meech is out of prison, and people are still talking about his legacy and all the shady things that went down.
Eventually have to have a bond hearing. There were cameras everywhere. It was a scene. There was
50 Cent has had beef with both Big Meech and his son, Lil Meech, for a while now. 50's whole persona is built on not backing down and just being petty. When Rick Ross and Big Meech were linked up in the same circle, 50 had to air out all the dirty laundry. But it wasn't until 50 Cent started calling Big Meech a snitch that things really took a turn.
February 13th, the Big Meech home benefit concert. It's gonna be iconic.
Now, I know what you're thinking. How can 50 Cent call Big Meech a snitch after all the talk about him being a solid street figure? Well, the story goes that 50 was responding to a post from Rick Ross promoting a concert for Big Meech's Welcome Back. 50 went in and posted a rat on his Instagram page.
You took a picture with Rick Ross. Put your back against the wall and just slide down.
Now, what 50 Cent is pointing out isn't just random beef. According to sources, Big Meech was allegedly tied to some shady dealings involving Tammy Cohen, who was an informant for the feds. It's claimed that she set up Big Meech to get out early by working with the feds and providing info on others who were involved with the substance moving, leading to some serious claims of betrayal. Even Blue Da Vinci, a former BMF member, even went on record saying that Big Meech had cooperated with the authorities, and 50 was quick to call it out.
And he went down. And when he went down, he and his brother were sentenced to 30 years in prison.
But as you can imagine, the streets weren't having it. People didn't want to hear that Big Meech, the legend, was a snitch. He built his rep on being solid, not talking to the cops. So to hear this from 50 Cent was like a punch in the gut for the culture. When 50 Cent started calling out Big Meech, Lil Meech wasn't going to just sit back and let it slide. Lil Meech posted some serious messages, calling out 50 for the way he disrespected his father and for the shady way he was handling their relationship. But Lil Meech didn't stop there. He took it a step further and shared text messages showing how 50 was clearly trying to mess with Big Meech's legacy, which only made things worse. In those messages, Lil Meech confronted 50 about some of the things that had been bothering him. One of the key things he mentioned was how 50 unfollowed him on Instagram and started managing Skillet Baby with Rocket, even though Lil Meech had introduced him to 50 when no one else knew who he was. He expressed how hurt he was by 50's actions, saying, "They just told me you unfollowed me off Instagram, and now you managing Skillet Baby with Rocket when I brought him around you first when you didn't have a clue who he was. Now you mad at me when I would take the shirt off my back for you. I can't believe this, man. You act as if I'm your enemy. I've only showed you love and loyalty and human. I go through my own shit, but I never switched up on you." He made it clear that he never turned his back on 50, despite what people might think. But the real bombshell came when Lil Meech talked about Big Meech's link-up with 50's longtime nemesis, Rick Ross. Lil Meech explained it wasn't personal, it was all about money. F Ross, but he gave my dad some bread so he can afford to pay his bills until our next season starts. He wrote, referencing the hit Stars show BMF. This was Lil Meech's way of saying that Rick Ross was just helping out Big Meech during a tough time, but of course 50 Cent didn't want to hear any of it. 50, being 50, didn't show any sympathy for Lil Meech's feelings. Instead, he fired back with more trolling. On Instagram, he posted, "What next season? Little Ninja," implying that he could easily recast Lil Meech or even cancel BMF altogether. Damn, 50 really be on some demon time.
Yeah. So look, I do want to do a BMF film because you've been entertained by a lackluster, small budget series. Now it's time to do a big budget film.
But 50's trolling didn't end there. In another follow-up post, which, like the first, was later deleted, he mocked Lil Meech even more, suggesting that he'd end up on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. I'll give Mona Scott Young, executive producer of the reality series, a call for him later today. He wrote, continuing the disrespect. It was clear that 50 was enjoying this back and forth, feeding off the chaos and drama like he always does. And now that Big Meech's Welcome Back concert was canceled, the streets are saying that it was 50 Cent who had the concert canceled. And trust 50 spent no time trolling. 50 Cent shared an AI-generated clip on Instagram with faces of Big Meech and Lil Meech onto a Love and Hip Hop scene depicting a father-son argument. He also posted a scene from the BMF series where his character confronts Lil Meech about his father's guilt. But when people started dragging him, he came out to deny any involvement, but in his own petty way. "I had nothing to do with this. Please stop calling my phone. I sincerely hope you have a nice day today. Happy Valentine's Day. I'm stronger than you think I am." But according to multiple sources, both Little and Big Meech believe that 50 definitely had something to do with it, and they are not going to let it slide. As usual, the internet has a lot to say about this entire mess. This probably the first L for 50. My opinion, Lil Meech ain't have shot to do with that this corny. Others were less forgiving, with one comment reading, "50 shows me every day why they shot this ninja 9 times. Then there were those who felt Lil Meech was just caught up in something bigger than himself. Lil Meech thinks 50 love him. 50 hates his own son. 50 made a name for himself by sparking controversy. He hasn't grown from that in over 25 years.
Who told you you was special? You thought you was special.
So, what do you think? Is 50 Cent just trolling, or is there something deeper behind his attacks on Big Meech and his legacy? Is Lil Meech right to defend his father, or is there more to the story that we haven't heard yet? And could all of this drama be connected to the bigger forces at play in the music industry? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button for more real stories straight from the hood.